when people say the word power, or I have power, or there is power, you're powerful, the word, it has lots of negative connotations to it, especially as women. If there has been abusive people in our lives, men or women, because I have been abused by women as well as men.
Yeah.
How do we change the framework around the word power so that we can make it work for us instead of against us? So we're taught that it's about having power over others, that competition type space or control manipulation. And it's old paradigm. It's 3D. That's not how we want to live. So we want to try to claim our innate power. What is our power inside of us? We're so busy looking on the external. What power do we have inside? Have we looked? Have we navigated that space to really truly feel how powerful we are without guilt? Because how many times were you guys told as kids, don't be bossy, don't be a show off, oh, you're bragging, like all of this stuff, and we just dim. Why can't we celebrate our successes? Why can't we celebrate that we are strong, beautiful, powerful women? Because society and a couple of men told us we couldn't?
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So bringing ourselves into our body, and basically it's a process of convincing ourselves that we are worthy, that it is okay to shine, that it is to stand up and say no when we need to, or whatever that looks like for you, taking back our own power. And we give away our power every time we abandon ourselves. And the other big thing, and this comes along with the closet cleaning and everything that ties everything together, we lose our power when we live out of habit. If you are on autopilot, you have no power. When your computer goes on to energy saver, the power is down. So we got to shake it up a little. Shake ourselves out of our comfort zones. Shake ourselves out of our habits. Because our habits are helping us lose our power. So, off the top of your head, is there any habit that you feel that you have that is helping you lose power? It's a pretty deep question.
I think one of mine is not exercising. I have a gym membership, but I've come up with every excuse not to go. And I know where it stems from because I peeled back the onion a long time ago, and I know where it comes from. My ex had told me that I was too pretty when I was skinny. So I got chunky so that I wouldn't be pretty anymore. So every time I try to lose weight, I do good for a week or two, and then I go back to that old thing saying I can't lose the weight because then people will look at me again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. Things that keep you small, right?
Yep.
Kenna, is there anything that comes up for you?
Oh, tons. Yeah, same thing, like a weight issue. I know why I can't get my weight off.
Yeah.
It's just the abuse behind it. And if I stay fat, nobody will abuse me because why would they want me?
Right.
And I've dealt with that on more than one occasion, unfortunately. And then on other occasions when stuff was going really bad, I had to use my body and sex to put a roof over my children's head.
Yeah.
So my sense of like sex and that type of stuff is very warped because it's not a normal thought process on sex and love making. It's two separate things. And I don't think I'll ever get normal on that. I don't think it's possible.
I'm going to challenge you to, I know, that's my favorite thing. You met your match, honey. I'm going to challenge you to look at that agreement. Never is a very powerful word, and you are a very powerful woman. And if you say never, it will stick.
That's true. Yeah, never is not a very good word.
So it doesn't have to be, yay, I'm going to be healed tomorrow. But it could be, instead of I will never have that normal, I'm healing and I'm working on it, and whatever happens will happen. Just switching the energy around words. Words carry so much power.
Yeah, they do.
That's why most ritual is done with words, because that's how much weight words carry. That's going to be your guys' homework, to really watch the language that comes to you when you're doing these processes and try to catch it and shift it. Just remember when we did our thing about your pizza, and we shifted that, and look at how quickly that shifted. Like within days, you'd shifted it.
Yeah.
So here's another.
And I came up with a few other ones that it's okay. That wasn't a pathetic situation. That was at that moment in time, it was a huge triumph. I got over the hill, even though it was a little pebble.
All my hairs are standing up. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's good stuff. So
yeah. The same as the pizza. It was just other things, just different times in my life where I was bottomed out and I had nothing, and it was just. Yeah.
So our words are so powerful. There's energy on them, right? And at any time, and another perfect example, because that one really stuck with me, because I had a client, one of the very, very first clients I had when I opened this business, and I was doing lots of deep tissue on her and energy work. And it was about 2 years in, and she had improved immensely. Oh my God, I was so proud of the work that she'd done. And I was working in her elbow one day, and she said, you know what? I'm never going to get better. And I never saw her again. Done.
What? Wow.
She'd made
I'm getting better one day. I don't know when, but I'm doing it.
Right. But just the power, and I felt like all my hair stood up when she said it. And at that point in my in my journey, I didn't have the words or the tools to say what I just said. And she was done. So it is amazing what we can convince ourselves of. Yeah, being aware of the words we choose is huge. And finding those habits and shifting them, even if it's in little things, like the Toltecs call it not doings. That's the word of the concept, not doings. So you think about the routines that we do on a daily basis. Think about your morning ritual when you first get up in the morning. Chances are it's pretty standard. Before you go to bed, what's your ritual? When you brush your teeth, is it the same every single time? Have you ever tried brushing your teeth with your opposite hand?
No.
That could be dangerous.
But isn't that hilarious? Because you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
I do that with my fingers when you put your fingers together, like intertwine all your fingers.
Yeah.
I don't remember why we did it. It was in school. We had to do it opposite. And I remember when we first done it, it was like, this is disgusting. It was horrible. And I interchange them now. When I do fold my hands, I'm usually doing it backwards first before my brain goes, oh, this isn't right. So I'll switch it and go, either way, they feels the same to me now. Cause I did it as a kid. I don't know what kind of experiment it was, but.
Yeah. So, you automatically, when I ask you what habits do you have that are making you lose energy, Some of the habits you don't even think about because you're so on autopilot, you don't even realize they're a habit. What hand do you eat with?
My right.
When you open your cupboard doors, do you usually reach with your left or your right? So thinking about these things that you do unconsciously all day. If you're swiping through your phone, what hand do you hold your phone with? Which finger are you using on the keypad? Like stuff like that. Those are your habits that we're talking about. Even by shifting those little things, pick one. So when you go to bed tonight, brush your teeth with your opposite hand and pay attention to what happens in your body. It's quite hilarious. Our goal is to shift ourselves out of pilot, because this is the basics of teaching you how to stalk yourself. And stalking yourself is one of the biggest, most powerful lessons that it's coming out of the Toltecs. And it comes on that enlightenment stage. So stalking is how we get to enlightenment. Unraveling the agreements, unraveling our habits, and living in the present, staying rooted and grounded. So that's going to be your homework, is to figure out what some of your habits are. And we're not going to pick the ones that are going to be dangerous. Like we're going to use our proper feet to drive. And when you're doing these experiments and you're trying to undo these things, you can't beat the shit out of yourself or you're not going to do it.
Okay.
That's true.
That's the hard part. So we could also use our group for when you do something that you're really proud of, post it and let us cheerlead you.
Okay.
That's what we do in our facilitator group. If somebody does something that they're proud of, even if it just is, hey, I did 3 push-ups today, everyone's, yay, good for you, good job. Because like I said, as women, we are told not to brag about yourself, not to share your successes, not to shine your light. And that is crap. And that's a not doing that we together can undo and support each other.
See, even you saying that, I was just thinking, okay, if I go to the gym, I could post it. And then I get, no.
See? Because you've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Down. So let me cheerlead for you. That gives me excitement. And that's the thing too, that we have to remember in this kind of a group where we are loving and supporting each other. If nobody's giving us anything to cheerlead, it's a sad space, right? So it works both ways. You guys get an opportunity to shine, and it gives us an opportunity to practice holding a container, because it does take practice.
Okay.
So if you do something this week that you're proud of, post it so that we can cheerlead, and you can, because I'm telling you, you felt it already, Jody, even saying that you wanted to post it, you're like, oh. When the cheerleading comes in, you're going to do it too. So just be ready.
I'm a good cheerleader. I'm an awesome cheerleader. It's just.
Yeah, but we're going to cheerlead you too.
Okay, that's the issue I have.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to feel weird when you get that response, because you're conditioned to be, your conditioning is no. You're not allowed to shine. Smack, smack, smack. So allow us to help you shift that.
Okay.
It's amazing. And then just be really aware of how it comes into your body. So one of the experiments that I'm doing around that exact thing being seen and sharing, I've written some really intimate and raw blog posts, and I put them on my website, but I never attached my website to Google. Maybe just some of my friends have seen it, like society has not. And I'm just learning through a marketing course how to set all that up and share. And again, remember how I said it's negotiation on your baby steps. So I chose to post one of my blogs, one of my healing experiences from the pyramids, into the Warrior Goddess Tribe page. And I almost puked when I hit post, because there's 26,000 women in there. And like my body heats up even telling you guys, yeah. So you're not alone in that, and everybody is at their spot, and you start with the places that you feel safe, and you allow the people that are holding you to help you through those. And then it'll just get better and better. And the overwhelming response that I got from it, it was like, oh, okay. But we all go through it. It just depends on where you're at and what it is. Because some things you'll have no problem sharing, and then some things are real fucking terrifying. So you start with the things that you can handle and then go from there.
Okay.
And then share and tell us. Yeah. I was going to go into, how much time do we have? We started a little bit late, right? What do we have, 20 minutes?
Something like that.
Okay. I'm going to rip through this stuff really fast.
What?
I missed what you said, Kenna.
You want to know what my husband did for me?
Yes.
Because he knows I love the chakra colors and everything. He went around and painted every door in our house a different chakra color.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That is so great.
Yeah.
That is so great. I don't have enough doors to have all the chakra colors.
I do.
That's great. I love it.
I do. People think we're nuts, so walk in and go, your bathroom door is like bright green, and the door beside it is bright yellow, and the one at the end of the hall is bright red.
I love it.
I'm like, yeah, and my bedroom door is purple.
Love it. I'm going to paint my bedroom purple too. That's the only room left to paint. Well, in the bathroom, but yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so you might want a pen for this. This is more of the education part. And we're going to go through it really quick, and then I want you guys to sit on it for the week, and then we can debrief about it next week. So this is more of this is more cognitive behavioral therapy stuff, but it fits into this part. So going back to and what it is and how society has told us that it's a negative thing. So talking about a false sense of power, we use these strategies to think that we have power, but they're not necessarily giving us power. So we're going to talk about 4 core strategies that humans use. Perfect. Okay, so the core strategies that give us a false sense of power are controlling, distracting, pleasing, and isolating. We all carry all 4 traits.
Yep.
Most people choose 1 or 2, but we all use all of them. So we're just going to very quickly go through all 4 of them. Controllers are the people that are always trying to fix things, controlling themselves, or trying to control others to an extreme. The quote for controllers that kind of is an all-encompassing is, if everyone listened to them, life would be perfect. So we all know that there's light and dark in everything. Of course, there's going to be gold with controllers as well. So the gold in having a controlling part is controllers are excellent leaders and they're visionaries. That's the controller's gold. The next one is isolators. And the isolators are the people who will physically remove themselves when things get uncomfortable. And they are fear-based. They're all about protection or needing protection. And the gold with isolators is that they have an extremely strong connection to spirit and to themselves. There's a lot of self-awareness there.
Can you say that again? The gold
The
part
gold
of the,
is that isolators have a very strong connection to spirit
okay.
and to themselves. Distractors. Distractors love to bounce between many things. If they're uncomfortable, they can change the subject by telling a joke, or they'll go and do something else. They can have 10 things on the go at once.
I think I'm that.
Right? And the gold with the distractors is that they are excellent multitaskers and they are incredibly creative. And the last one is pleasers. These are the people that help others to the detriment of themselves. And the gold in the pleasers is they are extremely sensitive and they want to be in service. So these are the 4 categories that most people flip back and forth between to try to gain some sense of control and security in their life. And wanting a false sense of power that's coming from fear, right? So we're going to these 4 strategies to reduce the fear in our bodies. And not just us, whoever's using them, humans in general. So when you look at these lists, the list of the 4, what would you put yourself in what are your top 2? Because everybody carries all 4, depending on the situation. But what's your main go-to and then your secondary?
Mine would be pleaser, would be the first one, because I am a people pleaser, and then it'd be a distractor.
Okay, what's yours?
I think my number one I don't think I know is distracting. And second, I think it would depends on the environment, on what's going on. So I would say they're opposite, but isolating or controlling, because if I feel trapped, I'm going to do one or the other.
Right.
Either run or I'm going to take over.
Depending on the situation and who it is. Yeah. Fair. Kenna, what's your go-to?
I'd have to say isolating. And then it's probably distracting next. I do the pleasing, but I probably the distracting more often. Yeah.
So when we sit with these 4, if you think of certain instances in your life when you have chosen to use one of these tools, what was the core reason? 9 times out of 10, there's discomfort or fear, right? And even discomfort, the root of discomfort, the root of anxiety, all of those negative emotions, the root is fear. And even anger, even when people say, oh, I'm so pissed at that, they're not pissed, they're scared.
Anger is a secondary emotion.
Absolutely. Fear is the root.
Yeah.
That was huge for me because I've been terrified most of my life until I found my root of my physical thing that I told you guys about. But so I've been navigating fear my entire life. I'm quite good at all 4 of these things. And distracting was my biggest one. That's where the workaholic sits, is in the distractor space, because man, can we multitask, and we're so freaking tired, there's no way we have time to think about what's actually going on inside. Right? Until we crash and have a meltdown and then bawl for a week and then get up back on our horse and dump it all back down again. That was my life while I was coaching. I just threw all of my time, energy, and attention into the kids because I was doing it for the kids. I was of service. Like the stuff that you tell in your head to make it okay when all you're doing is abandoning yourself. So we bring these up in awareness, not to beat ourselves up. You guys are going to get so sick of me hearing that, but we are so conditioned to beat ourselves up and push our emotions down. And that is not why we're bringing this into awareness. It's to help you understand why you do the things you do, why we all do the things that we do. It's a process, and our brains are trying to mitigate fear, which in itself is incredible, that our brains are creating these stories and trying to create these false sense of controls to help us feel safe. When really all we need to do is turn into ourselves, get present, and be there for ourselves and not abandon ourselves. They're not teaching us, society isn't teaching us that. They're teaching us these distraction techniques and these controlling techniques instead of loving ourselves. I'm still trying to process why this stuff isn't taught in elementary school. Blows my mind that why did I have to wait till I was 40 to even learn this stuff existed? So share the knowledge, get it out there. So it is about being able to sit with our emotions and give ourselves the time to process some of this stuff, because then it will go away. And people say, oh, it's scary and it's exhausting. Isn't it exhausting shoving all this shit down? At least if we turn around and face it, it will go away eventually, or at least get better and easier to manage and deal with. Because remember, we talked about it all sitting here. We want it to shift back here so that we can take the energy out of it. It happened to us. It's still part of our life. It is always going to be a memory, but it does not have to have the energy attached to it. So let's help shift it back and use it as part of our story of how we survived, and not only survived, thrived, and are shining and standing tall now. That's what this work is all about. One of the stories that Heather Ash loves to share, it's one of her favorites, I've heard her say it 5 or 6 times already, is about this scientific experiment they did. So this is a true story. I don't have all the facts and details, but they built this biodome because they were trying to figure out how to control the environment and that kind of stuff. And they grew all these beautiful trees, and they did this whole experiment. It was like this nice, beautiful forest in there, and they got everything they needed, and the experiment was over. So they took the dome down so that the trees could just be part of the earth again. And in the first great big windstorm, all the trees literally fell to the ground and died. And they couldn't understand because they were so magnificent and beautiful in the controlled environment. But as soon as that biodome was gone, they blew over. And the theory was, in order for those trees to grow their roots deep into the ground, there had to be wind. There had to be adversity. They had to shake them up and get them out of their comfort zone so they would grow their roots. Oh shit, the wind's coming, I better grow some more roots. And that's how they became strong. Because when they lived their little sheltered, controlled life in the biodome, they didn't grow, and they didn't grow any protection. We need to face our stories, and we need to work on this stuff so that we can be stronger. And the other story too is we hear and we see the memes, and we know it's science that the caterpillar transmute into the butterfly. We know that story. I have a tangible experience with that story. Still makes me a little emotional every time I talk about it, actually. I taught preschool for 4 years. And where I taught, she brought in cocoons, like butterfly larvae, that we got to grow in our classrooms so that the kids could see them. And I was so excited for these furry little caterpillars, and they did. They cocooned right inside their little fish tank things, and they cracked open their cocoons, and we physically got to watch them come out of these cocoons. And we had little oranges in there for them to eat. And this one butterfly was struggling. And so I ripped its cocoon for it to help it get out. And that butterfly died because I interfered with its process of struggling, because that struggle is what makes them strong enough to be able to fly. So by me interfering, controlling out of fear because I didn't want it to die, I stepped in where I shouldn't have stepped in. He didn't make it, and he died. And I bawled for a week. I was so upset. But talk about a tangible lesson on controlling is not good for you, and it's not good for the person you're trying to control. It actually causes damage. Every single person on this earth has their own path to run, and you're allowed to love and support them, and that is it. And trying to get out of that control space is really hard. But once you realize that you yourself are controlling out of fear, once you make that connection and you really sit with, what is it that I am scared of? What is driving me to control this situation? You will have a layer of your onion. And in that butterfly instance, I wanted that butterfly to live, and I didn't have the patience. And because I rushed the process and interfered, he didn't make it. And I can also integrate that into my other things in my life where I pushed too hard, pushed people when they weren't ready, and they walked. Luckily, they didn't die, but they still walked. So I still suffered an energetic death because they're now out of my life. Yeah. On paper, they're words, but if you sit with them, think about each of the 4 aspects here, and think about a time in your life, and just try to integrate this into your life so that when a situation comes up again where you feel fear and you feel yourself going to one of these false senses of securities, you might catch yourself the second time, this next time. It's about creating the awareness of where we go when there is fear involved. Is there any right off the top of your head that come to mind where something like that happens to you?